Our next speaker, as I promised, is going to focus on the nuts and bolts of things. And George Russell is the Executive Vice President and Director of Corporate Citizenship for State Street and the Chairman and President of the State Street Foundation. But here's why I asked George to be here today. First of all, he comes from the banking industry. He's got over 30 years of financial and banking experience. He's been both a CFO and a CEO, serving as the CFO for the City of Boston and CEO for Freedom National Bank here in New York. But more than that, he knows all sides of the corporate responsibility dilemmas. He knows the business case, he knows the employee engagement case, and he knows the communities case. And he's going to talk to us about how State Street has been moving away from pure charitable giving to what he calls social investing, which implies the need for a return on that investment. Ladies and gentlemen, help me to welcome Mr. George Russell.
Well, thank you, Richard, and good morning, everyone. It really is a pleasure to be here this morning, and I do want to start by congratulating Richard and Dirk and CRO Magazine and for this Commit Forum. You know, this is my first time attending, and I found yesterday's sessions and this morning's session to be both thought-provoking, inspiring, really, and in many ways, very much rich in content, but in many ways, a reaffirmation that, you know, State Street's CR program and our journey is really gone in the right direction. Now, I'm going to go through and give you a little bit of history on our program first. We started our program some 9 years ago, and it was a direct result of some business travel that myself and a colleague made to Europe, and there we were talking about community affairs, but the conversation was along the lines of sustainability, the environment, full disclosure, et cetera. So we came back from those meetings and ended up talking to a lot of our good friends, some at the conference board. You probably know David Vidal. And then from there, Mindy Looper, I think, was either here yesterday or she's going to be here today. I'm not certain. And then others. And from that, we really began to think through how we needed to proceed with all of our community engagements and all of our activities. Now, fast forwarding to today, I really believe that State Street has one of the most comprehensive and robust corporate citizenship programs in the financial services industry. It's governed by an executive CR committee that's chaired by an executive vice president who's head of new product development, global realty, and procurement. In fact, my colleague is here with us today, sitting right there. And it's also, this committee is comprised of executive vice presidents and senior vice presidents from our core business lines of asset servicing and asset management, as well as people on the staff side from investor relations, marketing, our HR, my area, which is corporate citizenship, and all the other staff functions. Now, this committee, it reports directly to our management committee, which is our top 10 executives in the company, chaired by our chairman and CEO. And the chair also gives a presentation to our board of directors on an annual basis. Now, through this process, one of the things we did is we started an Office of Environmental Sustainability, and that was established in 2009. And it's there to support our CR efforts through employee engagement activities, development of ES goals, and the identification of opportunities across geographies, business lines, and functions. In fact, my other colleague who actually runs that office is here as well. I'm mentioning them because they really do yeoman's work, and in the interim, during meetings, if you have time to talk to them as well as myself, I would encourage you to do that. We started a CR working group even prior to that in 2007, and we did that because we thought that let's first reach out to a number of our colleagues across the company and come together as a working group, not a committee, and let's begin to think through how this all will have an impact when we start talking about corporate responsibility and ESG, how this will have an impact on all of us. And this CR working group, it really had the responsibility for ensuring that the program that we put in place was current and up to date, and to also keep us informed of any new global trends in this particular area. Now, over these 9 years, a lot has occurred, and we, I think, achieved some really great results. For example, our headquartered building in Boston, as well as our regional headquartered building in London, they're ISO 14001 certified with their ES management systems, and we have a number of buildings that are also considered to be green certified according to local standards like BREEAM, LEED, and Green Star. Now, these buildings are in locations as far away as Hangzhou, China, in Sydney, Australia, in London, and in Dublin. Now, we run a robust employee engagement programs, and that's there to really to create an environmentally aware culture. Now, we do a lot of things that I'm sure a lot of companies do. We recycle. We do double-sided printing. The one thing I really think is interesting, and one of my favorites, is we have an electric car battery charging station in our headquartered garage. I don't have an electric car, but I think it's cool that we've gone in that direction so employees that do can charge their vehicles. One thing we do, we turn off our computers at night because we have this PC power management program. And not only is that environmentally friendly, but we found that to be a tremendous cost savings. It's a cost savings because instead of leaving the computers on all the time, which we were required to do in the past, because if you needed to go in and patch a program, the IT people, then if they were on, they could patch it. Well, with this new program, we shut them off in the evenings. If they need to come in and patch, they can remotely turn them on, patch the system, shut it back off, and we found huge, when I say huge, I'm talking about millions of dollars in savings through doing just that. Other things we've done is we've increased bicycle racks in our offices, and we purchase wind energy in carbon offsets. And we do issue, because I'm not going to go into all the detail, an annual CR report, and I really encourage you to take a look at that report. You can go on to www.statestreet.com/better to view that report. We've received a lot of external acknowledgments. The one I think I'm most proud of is the fact that we're on the Dow Jones both World and North America Index, and we have been for 7 consecutive years. FTSE4Good, the Stocks Global Indices, and we are number 83 on the Corporate Responsibility Office magazine list of the 100 best corporate citizens. Now, our CR program has really evolved considerably with the business and the sales team becoming highly engaged in identifying product opportunities. Now, they developed a green bond strategy to provide investment opportunities for clients interested in helping to create the next generation of environmentally oriented infrastructure. We have an ESG reporting service, and we have ESG assets under management of $126 billion. Now, needless to say, as the head of corporate citizenship and a member of this executive CR committee and also the head of the State Street Foundation, I'm really very proud of our CR efforts, and I'm absolutely delighted that they're becoming embedded into the fabric of our enterprise. Now, having given you that glimpse of our CR program, I really wasn't coming here to talk about that. I'm really here this morning to talk to you about how the more traditional aspects of corporate citizenship, such as giving and volunteering, have and are continuing to evolve, and how important that is. I've had the good fortune, and I'd say pleasure, for the past 20-plus years to lead, to shape, to expand, to evolve, and to refine State Street's corporate citizenship efforts. And while doing good and helping to improve the quality of life is extremely important and is at the center of these efforts, it's become equally as important that the business benefits are ever present, clearly understood, and an important part of the corporate citizenship equation. Now, this is particularly true for State Street, but I think also other companies, especially as our U.S. economy is beginning to, I guess, slowly emerge from this great recession. Some of the benefits that I'm referring to is adding measurable value, for companies, we certainly want to increase our visibility, our image, and our reputation. We want to engage our employees in meaningful activities. And in doing all these efforts, we want to make sure that we are contributing to the company's, what I like to refer to as its multifaceted bottom line objectives of both return on investment, but also the return on these relationships. Now, our foundation was established in 1977 at a time when State Street was a traditional commercial bank with lending money to corporations as its primary and its principal business. But when interstate banking hit, the reality set in for State Street that it really wasn't able to effectively compete with the other four major regional banks in the Boston area, nor the money center banks that all of a sudden really found New England, Massachusetts, and Boston a very attractive market. So as a result, State Street decided to change course. It went through a process of really reinventing itself from being a regional commercial bank to becoming a global financial services company focused on asset servicing and asset management for institutional investors, including state and municipal government, retirement systems, and Fortune 500 pension schemes. And today, with $22 trillion in assets under custody and $2 trillion in assets under management, State Street is one of the world's leading providers of these financial services. Now, this change in State Street's business model and its geographic footprint from being something that was local to something that became global really had some serious implications for our corporate citizenship in our State Street Foundation. For 20 years, corporate citizenship in the foundation staff supported numerous Boston-based NGOs. However, with this ever-growing global footprint, we now face this global challenge. State Street was rapidly expanding into every major financial market, while my staff was largely a U.S. and Boston base. But in order to make corporate citizenship efforts truly global, I began pursuing the expansion of our corporate citizenship programs, the first of which was the State Street Foundation, to other State Street sites across North America, EMEA, and the Asia-Pacific regions. And while recognizing that, there was no way I was going to be able to put staff in each of these offices, that just wasn't going to happen, I chose to build out really an employee volunteer committee approach that emphasizes the use of local knowledge, relationships, and decision-making in the management of our foundation's activities outside of Boston. We identified, we organized, we trained, and we funded employee volunteer community support program committees. Now, this allowed us to really tap into and engage employees as those who would really deliver this service in their local communities. In our view, local employees know the local community issues, and they are well suited to identify and work with local NGOs. And along the way, clearly, we experienced numerous challenges resulting from language barriers, cultural differences, and some very different perspectives regarding program categories that warranted support. Fortunately, these issues were resolved, and today there are some 38 of these community support committees in our offices in 29 countries. Now, the one issue that continues to persist, but I think today to a lesser extent, is our committee member turnover. As I mentioned, and we sort of anticipated that because after all, we are using this employee volunteer model where employees have other full-time jobs. But to minimize this turnover and to lessen the administrative burden on these committee members and to ensure that these committees could perform in their primary responsibilities of building relationships with the NGOs and deciding on which organizations warranted support, we restructured that process. We further streamlined our program as a result of a strategic planning process and decided that a narrowed focus would be in the best interest of the NGOs that we were investing in and to the State Street volunteer committees that were charged with determining which NGOs were having the greatest impact and warranted our support. We also decided that our narrowed focus should be closely aligned to State Street's business model. As a result of this plan, we decided that education and workforce development is where we would concentrate our efforts. You know, it aligned very nicely with our business model. As a company, we really do need an educated workforce. And when you think about our business and what we do, we certainly want every member of society to become gainfully employed and participate in savings and retirement plans. You know, in theory, the greater number of participants, the more financial assets there are for State Street to potentially service and manage. But as important to that, and that's very important, education and workforce training programs are critical to uplifting those that are underserved in our communities. Now, this narrowed focus also deepened our staff and our volunteer committee's subject matter expertise, and it allowed them really to make better informed decisions. It also produced some other branding and communication benefits, but it also set the stage for incorporating impact metrics in determining which NGOs we would deepen our partnerships with. This narrowed focus decision was also a turning point for a series of steps that are evolving our foundation model away from traditional giving to social investing and incorporating some of the key concepts of this burgeoning field known as venture philanthropy. You know, social investing is really an approach that recognizes that a corporate foundation is entrusted with the management of a scarce resource, and that as managers, we must find ways to optimize the social returns that we aim to achieve in deploying these resources. Additionally, foundation managers are a part of a corporate infrastructure and culture that must operationally align with the corporate environment in which it exists. So specifically at State Street, we're striving to really inject into the foundation management the rigor and discipline that prevails at State Street as a high-performing leader in financial services. And we're doing that in a number of ways. One, we certainly have enhanced our due diligence of nonprofit organizations to identify the right group of partners to invest in so we can achieve our education and workforce development social goals. And secondly, we have designed a metric model that is incorporated into our funding proposal review process, and this enhancement will lead to more informed investments and the ability to communicate social investment outcomes and returns, and not simply total dollars expended on grants. Now, this new focus on metrics has really been enabled by technology as we have implemented an online system of grant management in 2012. As a result of working with organizations led by this sort of new wave of nonprofit leadership referred to as social entrepreneurs, this has been really significant. I think one great example of an organization with this quality is our partner, Year Up. It was founded in Boston by a Wall Street executive who really created a model that has helped transform the lives of thousands of 18 to 24-year-olds that fall into a category of disconnected youth sitting on the wrong side of what Year Up calls the opportunity divide. In its essence, the Year Up model is a high support, high expectation program that combines job training and corporate internships in a demanding year-long program. Not only does our foundation invest heavily in Year Up and its efforts to scale the model, but we have also provided both internships and employment opportunities at our company for hundreds of students. And State Street is just one of many other corporate partners in Boston and the 9 other cities in which Year Up has established its works. Measurable social returns from investments in organizations like Year Up is not the only benefit flowing from this social investment model. my staff is becoming more and more in demand to participate on panels and is often taking speaking engagements as their subject matter expertise becomes better known. Now, in the time that remains, I want to do two things. I'm going to describe a new program that we launched to engage our 29,000 employees as volunteers and provide needed foundation support and employee donations to a select group of NGOs in order to have a positive impact on a social issue. And then second, I'm going to describe the ways we engage employees on social issues that they care about. The first is called our State Street Global Giving Campaign. And then I'm briefly going to describe refinements we made to our existing matching gifts program that has become very popular with our employees. State Street's Global Giving Campaign is a new initiative that we launched in 2011. The goal is to unite all State Street employees from around the world to make a powerful impact toward a single cause. Our Global Giving Campaign is an evolution of State Street's longtime commitment in North America to the United Way. The United Way has, as many of you know, lots of programs across North America, and they also have it in Australia. But for us, they weren't able to accommodate our needs to offer programs to all of our employees around the world. So by starting our own giving campaign, it provided State Street with an opportunity to design, to brand, and to operate a campaign that would be employee-driven. To get this underway, wanted to make sure I spoke to the folks on our management committee to gain their insights on how to move this initiative forward. And to a person, they all said it's very, very important to make certain that the employees, especially in Europe and those in the Asia-Pacific region, really saw this as a way that we're trying to include them in our activities. We have something we call global inclusion. We want to make sure all of our employees feel valued, and that's exactly what we did. As a result, I reached out, I convened an advisory committee that included representatives from all the 3 regions around the world, and this committee decided that it should be a themed-based campaign that addressed a pressing social issue. It also decided that this campaign should be billed as an employee engagement campaign, and every attempt should be made to maximize employee participation in volunteer opportunities designed to increase their awareness of the designated social issue, and that the amount of money raised should be secondary. Further, the committee advised that the campaign should commence on October 1st of every year, and that we stay with the same theme for at least 3 years in order to begin to measure what kind of impact we're having. We conducted an employee survey that surfaced education, by the way, as the issue that we should focus our efforts on, and poverty and the environment were the runner-ups. The survey also pointed out that our employees would welcome a campaign of less pressure but more inclusion, where employees could choose to donate, volunteer, or both if they chose. The advisory committee decided that each region should be empowered to define how to best make a positive impact on education and recommend a list of possible charitable partners. We established this regional organization structure where there were 3 tri-chairs, 1 for each region, and they in turn, they built out their organization so we could get the campaign underway. Now that 2011 campaign, I think was a success on many levels. In terms of funds raised by employees, over $1.5 million, which in turn was matched by our foundation. But the employees were extremely, I think, creative in the way they went about raising money. For example, just a quick example, the folks in London, they came up with an idea of what they called State Street Has Talent. They decided that we want to put on a talent show. So employees that had talent would get up and display their talent, but you'd have to pay. And all those funds that were raised would go toward this campaign. The folks in Luxembourg and in Edinburgh, Scotland, they decided to put putting greens, 18 greens, putting greens in 18 different offices, so you'd have to pay. to go in and putt, and that's the way they raise money. So I really thought the creativity that took place from this as a way to engage employees, to increase their awareness, was really phenomenal. You know, in a post-campaign survey showed that 63% of respondents felt engaged as a result of participating in the campaign, and 59% stated that volunteer opportunities helped increase their engagement. Now, you know, it'd be nice if I could say everything went smoothly, but, you know, and there were no problems. That was not the case. I was certainly, we were all pleased with the results, but I must tell you there were a number of unforeseen challenges. We didn't realize, to be quite frankly, how long it was going to take, the planning would take to get this campaign underway. It took us 2 years to plan this through. Creating and supporting a central platform for all employees to make pledges, transact donations, and record volunteer hours was painful. Making certain that charity partners met the data security requirements of a financial services company, including upfront screening, required a considerable amount of time and work with our legal and data security departments. The concept of global giving was new to most of our colleagues, global giving in an organized fashion to most of our colleagues across the Asia-Pacific region, as well as EMEA. And then offering the campaign in 6 different languages was a challenge. And not having a company-wide payroll deduction system, and with payroll deductions limited to North America, also produced some challenges. And the folks in the Asia-Pacific region and across Europe, they really preferred cash donating, which posed security issues around cash collecting and conforming to U.S. regulatory requirements for handling employee cash donations. And multi-currency donations were another obstacle that we face. Now, even with all the challenges that we encountered, the benefits really were far greater, and this inaugural campaign was not only a success, but it produced a side benefit of more employees around the world signing up to work on volunteer projects and assist NGOs in their local communities year-round. Now, with our 2011 campaign behind us, we just kicked off our new campaign for 2012 on Monday, and it will run for the entire month of October. And I'm excited about this year's campaign because one thing I do know is that it will be a success. That I know that because our employees have continually demonstrated a remarkable capacity and a willingness to give back to their communities. We value their commitment, and we seek to engage and unite them around their passions through our programs like this Global Giving Campaign. Now, the existing program, I'm going to go over really quickly because it's something I think has been really wonderful and unique, and our employees really enjoyed, is our matching gift program. I know most of you are very familiar with matching gifts programs. Well, ours was a traditional program like most. It was very limited. But now, I'm just fast forwarding, it has several features that make it even more appealing to our employees. First, the program is no longer restricted to matching donations just to colleges and universities. Now we consider it an employee benefit. Any 501c3 you can donate to, so long as it passes all the, the Patriot Act and other things. Okay. And second, we, instead of limiting dollar matches to $5,000 per employee per year, without taking into consideration the employee's capacity to give, we put in place a 4-tiered giving structure. It's $35K for that C-suite that people refer to. It's $25K for executive vice presidents. It's $15K for senior vice presidents. It's $5K for all others. Now, the final change we made came as a direct result of listening to our employees. State Street has 29,000 employees, and although the company has existed for more than 120 years, it's a young company. And by that I mean the average age of our employees is under 30 years old. Now, these younger employees are socially conscious, actively involved, and are more than willing to contribute to charitable causes. However, they've made it very clear that they do not have the discretionary income to take full advantage of that match. Well, to address this issue, we put into place what I call some bells and whistles. We created what we call Do More. And what that is a feature where if you as an individual, if you donate up to 24 hours during the course of the year with the same nonprofit organization, we will monetize that and give them a $250 contribution. And that can go up as high as $1,000 if you, in fact, donate 96 hours to that same organization. We also added another feature called Collect More. You know, a lot of our employees, they're into what I call the a-thons, walk-a-thons, bike-a-thons, marathons. So what we did was we put in this feature that said that if you participate if you go out and collect pledges for a physical activity that you're going to participate in, then we will match that up to $1,000. And that really has been exciting for a lot of our employees in a way that we can really engage them. In closing, I can see I'm running out of time, and my friend Richard is right there. Let me just say that the most important components of any corporate responsibility and sustainability programs are really three. It's making them relevant and strategic for the company. It's engaging for the employees. And it has to be impactful for society. You know, a lot has been said about the underlying materiality of ESG issues as a company's bottom line, toward a company's bottom line success. But as important as that is, we cannot lose sight of the traditional role that companies must play also as corporate citizenship, as community leaders, and community supporters. Traditional programs as philanthropy and volunteering are equally important, and they're evolving in ways that really are providing tremendous benefits and returns to all of our stakeholders. I think what we're really trying to do is bridge that intersection where you can be responsive to community needs, you can align it to where your business is, but you can do some things that are rather catalytic and really transformational. And that's where we're going with our programs. And we think as a direct result of that, that will produce tremendous benefit, clearly to all three, but also would help to preserve our environment. Thank you so much.
Let's keep that applause going for George Russell. I think that was a great breakdown of so many of the details of what goes in to managing one of these programs. George, thank you so much, and we're really honored to have not only you here, but a great contingent of folks from State Street.